Greetings, AP Chemistry students. Today we're starting Unit 8, Acids and Bases. And so let's just jump right in and talk about some properties that acids have. Acids have a sour taste. There's an indicator called litmus paper, and if you put an acid on blue litmus paper, it will turn the litmus paper red. Acids will react with metals to produce hydrogen gas, and acids in solution conduct electricity. Bases have a bitter taste, they have a slippery feel, they turn red litmus paper blue, they turn phenolphthalein pink, hence the faint pink background to this entire slide presentation. And bases will also conduct electricity in solution because they produce ions in solution. To help you remember this litmus paper test, if we go back to this one, I have a funny little video clip I'll show you when you're here in person. But blue to red, acid. There you go. Now, there are several different models for how acids and bases work and how we define things as being an acid or a base. We're only going to focus on two of them. I'm going to talk briefly about the Arrhenius model, which is what you would have learned about in a previous chemistry class. The Arrhenius model says acids contain hydrogen, and when you put them in water, they dissociate or ionize to produce H plus ions. As HCl, you put it in water, it makes H pluses and Cl minuses. Bases contain hydroxide, they ionize to produce hydroxide ions, such as calcium. Hydroxide breaks apart into calcium ions and two hydroxide ions. So, under this model, acids have to have hydrogen ions in them, and acids start with hydrogen, and bases end with hydroxide. They end in OH minus. So that's the Arrhenius model. It's the most restrictive view. What we're going to look at and spend most of our time focusing on in this entire unit is the Bronsted-Lowry model of acids and bases. There is yet a third, more encompassing model called the Lewis model that we are not going to talk about in this class. So the Bronsted-Lowry model says that acids are hydrogen ion donors. In other words, acids provide H pluses in solution. Bases accept H pluses. So the acids provide the hydrogen ions, the bases take them. And after an after a base accepts a hydrogen ion, it now has one that it could donate, turning that base, after it does its base thing and takes the H plus, it turns it into what we now call a conjugate acid. It now has become an acid again. And a conjugate base is produced after the acid donates the H plus because it could now accept one back. It gave one up, it could now take it back. So they're called the conjugate acids and bases of them. Now, a conjugate acid base pair is two compounds that just differ by a single hydrogen ion. So, as an example, HCl plus H2O makes H3O plus Cl minus. So, in this reaction, the HCl loses a hydrogen ion as the reaction proceeds to the right, while the water gains a hydrogen ion. So that would make the HCl the acid because it's losing the hydrogen, the water the base because it's gaining it. After the water has gained the hydrogen ion, this H3O plus would now be what we would call your conjugate acid, and the Cl minus would be your conjugate base because the Cl minus could now accept a hydrogen ion while the H3O plus now has an extra one to donate. So if the reaction were running backwards, this is acting as your acid, this is your base. So we have HCl the acid. Oh, this formatting's off a little bit. Water's the base. H3O plus is your conjugate acid, and Cl minus is your conjugate base. Or in words, HCl donated a proton which water accepted. In the reverse reaction, H3O plus donates a proton which Cl minus accepts. So let's take a look at one more example. Let's consider the reaction of NH3 and HC2H3O2. So in this reaction, if you follow it, the NH3 turns into NH4 plus. So NH3 is accepting a hydrogen ion, meaning NH3 is acting as a base. And so the NH4 plus would be the conjugate acid. And then the HC2H3O2, also known as acetic acid, is obviously acting as the acid. It loses or donates this hydrogen ion, while the C2H3O2 minus is our conjugate base. Because essentially, in this reaction, all that happens is this hydrogen ion goes there. Um, it's an H plus ion. It leaves the electron behind, if you will. That's the key to this. It's just H pluses. It's just a single proton ultimately. In fact, I've got a video about acids and bases that's simply called The Proton in Chemistry, where we're just moving H pluses from place to place. So that's acid base chemistry, as you'll see soon enough. Electrochemistry is when you move electrons. So they're kind of like opposites of each other. Hopefully, this helps you get a basic understanding of acids and bases, and we will delve a lot more into this tomorrow. So, y'all have a great day.